Like what the title says, I dropped other earbuds lined up for review just to tell you this earlier, and I highly suggest you to clear your shopping cart and buy this right now. These great people are not lying. This is the best of the best, and don't forget to use the affiliate links and subscribe for more. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Just kidding, I've got a ton of stuff to tell you, so let's get started right now. Selamat pagi! Good morning everyone, Kenneth here, and today we're checking out another legendary product from FIIL called the T1 Lite. I've reviewed great earbuds for the price before, but nothing with sound quality that literally rivals the best in the market. And it is only 35 bucks now? Anyway, disclaimers are in the description below. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't, and let's start talking about that most important aspect right now, the sound quality. So I'm going to focus on comparing the T1 Lite to the T1 Pro as they sound very similar. And if you don't know it yet, the FIIL T1 Pro is one of the best sounding earbuds I have ever tested, period. So as if that's not crazy enough, well, what's the catch, right? I'm going to tell you that as we go through some of my review songs here, and we're going to start with this J-Rock song that I've known like the back of my hand. It is Brave Shine by Aimer. The first thing that you'll notice is the loudness. This T1 Lite is louder than the T1 Pro or Soundpeats H1 or anything else. It's just so loud, I wouldn't dare touch anything past 80% without a guaranteed trip to an ENT clinic. Anyway, for the sound quality, the T1 Lite impresses hard. The sound signature is so close to the T1 Pro with similar soundstage and instrument separation. It's got a true to life sound with capable bass and treble. It just sounds so good. I might take the easy route and say these two sound the same, only this one is cheaper. But I don't want to do that, so I listened carefully and I noticed at 1 minute 30 seconds into the second verse, the T1 Pro shows that it's got more dynamic. What I mean is there's a noticeable difference from the bass kick that's got more punch than the less intense bass guitar, and on the T1 Lite, they both have the same kind of impact. Then towards the end of the song, the T1 Pro shows once again that it's more capable on the treble as well. As you can hear, the cymbal crash further than the T1 Lite, but practically speaking, does the T1 Lite sound bad? Well, hell no. I believe it might sound more appealing to most of you due to the rolled off highs that gives you enough detail without hurting too much like the T1 Pro. And that's a good thing, but I can't say the same for bass. Here, the T1 Pro takes the slight advantage, and even more so when you start to play with EQs on the FIIL Plus app. Now, EQing is one of the biggest reasons why I rated the T1 Pro so highly. The driver is so capable, you can basically tune it the way you like with the advanced EQ. Or if you don't want the hassle, the built-in bass and treble EQ sounds great. It's just so versatile. On the other hand, the T1 Lite sounds great out of the box, but there's not much you can do with it. The bass preset could make it sound boomy, and the treble preset gives you the impression of a more focused highs by reducing the mid to low frequencies. So if you listen closely, the clarity of the vocal, the treble, they stay the same. Compare that to the T1 Pro that actually increases the bass reach or the treble clarity without sacrificing on the bass sound signature at all. Now let's talk about the differences that you can find in my review songs, and we're going with Enter Sandman by Metallica. We're gonna start with the T1 Pro. Here it plays the guitar and the bass riff in a very natural way. It has strong bass all the way through with the bass EQ. It feels like you're enveloped with bass. It's almost suffocating. The T1 Lite, on the other hand, it feels more artificial and it could sound boomy at times, so it produces a lesser impression and also less of that suffocating feeling. But with that said, the difference isn't really that huge. Both still sounds really good. Vocals and trebles are similar, and this is true for most EDM, hip-hop, rap songs. The bass EQ provides a quick bass boost fix. It's just not as good as the T1 Pro here. What is very different though is when you listen to softer songs like this one from Aku. If you put both on treble preset, the clarity is genuinely better on the T1 Pro. At this point, I noticed that the bass and treble preset are like an extension on the default EQ, so it boosts the clarity or bass without messing with the basic sound signature, as I've said before. On the T1 Lite, its treble preset is like an entirely different thing. It reduces the lower frequencies to give give focus on the vocals, but it doesn't really push the treble anymore. So you just make the instrument sound less loud essentially, and I infinitely prefer the T1 Pro here. So that's the point that I want to say. The T1 Lite is less versatile than the T1 Pro, especially if you decide to tune it further. But both earbuds perform brilliantly for their pricing. I would dare say they're worth more than twice their pricing and defeat every other earbuds at their price point. And I gotta give my respect to FIIL as a company for not compromising on sound quality to cut down on costs. That's amazing. Now, the goods don't just end there, because the T1 Lite inherits T1 Pro's great design language. To start, the size of the case is still the same, very compact with 600 mAh battery inside, and it just nails down everything with battery indicator, USB-C charging port, and the whole thing could last you a good week. You just don't have wireless charging support, because if you notice, it's 1mm shorter at the base here, and other than that, the difference is just in the materials, as the matte black plastic built here is less appealing and less finer looking than the T1 Pro, but it's on par with others selling at this price. Also, it's interesting to see from the lid here that this T1 Lite doesn't get as much attention to detail, as it's just a thin slab of plastic compared to the sculpted design here, and that's the same with the unboxing experience. It's just a very basic plastic box with the essentials inside, unlike the carefully crafted T1 Pro box, which feels very premium. But not getting too off topic, I love the size. It packs a good amount of battery and it's still easy to charge. What's not to love? As for the earbuds, these again have the same shape as the T1 Pro with just no earphone attachment. Also, it has a silver look now, which in my opinion is just as cool as the FIIL T1 Pro, and the battery has no problem achieving the claimed 7 hours of playtime. You can check the details in my Twitter at TestedByKent. But if you've watched my T1 Pro review, there I mentioned that without the earphones, this design may get loose sometimes. Well, I don't know why, but I don't have that problem with my T1 Lite. They stay very well, they fit comfortably for hours, and I think most of you shouldn't have a problem too, because inside the box, FIIL still gives you many different size ear tips just like the T1 Pro. But getting a secure fit with the ear fins could be another reason why you'd want to pay up to the T1 Pro, aside from the slightly better sound, ANC transparency mode, and wireless charging. One thing that's better than the T1 Lite though is the IPX7 waterproof coating. I use these earbuds when I shower as much as I can to test it out, and I have zero problems so far. This is a great feature and I wish it was there on the T1 Pro. Now for the app and controls, you need to install the Chinese version of their FIIL Plus app to activate their full controls. If not, you'll only be able to play or pause and activate voice assistant. This might be the only problem with FIIL earbuds in general, aside from availability in local markets and the lack of English translation of course, but don't worry, I will leave a link in the description below to download the Android app. Unfortunately for iOS, you need to have a Chinese App Store account, which will be quite tricky to create. Also, I have created a walkthrough video translating each and every Mandarin inside the FIIL Plus app, so hopefully that video could help you get up and running quickly. But that said, the things that you can do with the T1 Lite inside the app is significantly less than T1 Pro. There's only battery status, bass and treble EQ, full touch controls activation, and the low latency modes that you can use when playing games. Anyway, the touch area and sensitivity is perfect. You just have to get used to the control scheme where the right earbud controls skipping tracks and the left earbud controls volume. So far, I've not seen any connectivity issues, and the earbuds pair up quickly as soon as you open the case, and they are dual mode Bluetooth, so you can switch between left only or right only or use both without any disconnections, and they both pair under one name, which is nice. Anyway, let's check out the latency test now and also show you how the mic performs. Alright, so welcome everyone to the call test. Right now you're listening through the FIIL T1 Lite. And what do you think of the sound quality? This is a recording in an indoor room with no other noise. So this is kind of the best case scenario. And right now we're going to turn on a crowd noise, and this is it. The crowd noise is playing off my MacBook Pro 16 at 100% volume. I say this to let you know that this thing is quite a loud crowd noise that you should probably expect in real life cafe or supermarket scenario. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the microphone test. Let's get back to the video right now. Okay, there you have it. The FIIL T1 Lite exceeds my expectation in every way possible. It brings great sound quality from its brother FIIL T1 Pro. It has the same compact design, it has great battery life, great app support, great everything, and added IPX7 on top of that for just $35. I have a hard time believing this price point, and I just see no reason why you'd want to buy anything else. I just don't. Please don't. Promise me you will give this a go. Use the affiliate links down in the description below to help me support the channel, and let me know your experience in the comments or in my social media. I would be happy to reply as much as I can, and thank you so much for watching. I'm Kenneth. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.